Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. Welcome in as we broadcast live from 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass, doing his thing. Again, our thanks to Brewers Hall of Famer Robin Yount for joining us there in the last segment. Obviously, he was part of Team Streak back in 1987 when they started the season with 13 wins in a row. Joining us now, a legend as well. He is Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Dim Tillard. He joins us. You can see his pretty face over there at Broken Bat Brewery over there. He is Tim Dillard. Watch him on YouTube. Search The Fan Milwaukee. Tim Dillard, how are we?
I'm doing just fine. I got $2 pints coming here at the Broken Bat Brewery, so make sure everybody stops by.
That makes sense of why you would be there then. Okay, now I know why you're there. Now, this is my question. We just had Robin Yount on, and I know I've never asked you this. So back in the day, when some of my former cohorts of mine were here, a Gary Ellerson, let's say, a former Packer running back in the 80s, he would tell stories of the Bart Starr Packers, because Bart Starr was the coach. Forrest Gregg would be in their hot tub when they get out, and all these former players would always be around the locker room, kind of mingling with the current players. These 82 Brewers, from a Brewer standpoint, as legendary as the 60s Packers back then, prior to the Packers winning another Super Bowl with Brett Favre, how often did you see or hear about that 82 team when you were in Milwaukee?
I mean, in spring training, there was guys always there. Robin, Jim Gantner, Gorman Thomas. I mean, those guys were always in and around Coop. Yeah, that was just part of it. That's what you did. That's what I thought every spring training was. It was having guys that had been there, done that, in the locker room for you just to kind of hear stories from and learn from. And that was just pretty standard. So, yeah, I mean, pretty much when I got with the Brewers, it was you need to learn everything you can about them because it's a special organization.
They threw a parade for him, Tim, and they lost the World Series. They got a parade, and they lost the World Series. But, I mean, we're talking about Milwaukee, right? I mean, the Brewers got a wild card spot and broke the 26-year drought. Yount was the bench coach for Swaim at that point, and we threw a party at Summerfest before they even played a game in the playoffs. Again, I ask you, what baseball team does that other than us?
It sounds like every baseball team needs to be doing that. Do it right. Yeah, that was awesome too. And Robin was right there in the midst of all of it. I remember one time I was talking to him when we were in Chicago. He was making out the lineup card, and he said something, and I was answering whatever question, and he goes, "Hold on a second." And he was trying so hard to make sure the lineup card was perfect and legible. I've never seen anybody work so hard on a lineup card before. And it was just kind of funny. Like it's all about getting it right. And when you talk about Milwaukee in general and Milwaukee fans, like they just want to get it right. They want to celebrate times when you can celebrate. And then there's heartbreak, but that's all of that is a part of the game of baseball.
Those early 80s teams, I don't know about 87, but those early 80s teams, you start talking about story time with Gorman Thomas. I mean, I'm sure there was good story time with Gorman Thomas that could not be repeated on a radio or a TV station.
I mean, you could say that about almost every ball player to some capacity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys out there that witnessed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Gorman Thomas is the best of them when it comes to telling stories about what happened back in the day, that's for sure. Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Dim Tillard. He's hanging out with us right now. Check him out on YouTube. Search The Fan Milwaukee. You can watch him there. So, 12 wins in a row, free burgers next Wednesday from like 2 to 6, right, at George Webb. I mean, you hear Brandon Woodruff after the game, he's all like, man, I was a little stressed out about it, man. I want to win hamburgers for everybody. I chuckled. I thought that was pretty funny. But clearly, the people around the organization and the players were well aware of the promotion.
Well, I mean, especially coming on the heels of what they won 11 the other day, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
Yep.
So, I mean, it wasn't like this came out of nowhere. They were on the verge of doing this earlier already in the season, and so they didn't get there. So they've already heard the rumors and things like that. So it was probably super fresh. And then they get to 11, and then all of a sudden they have a chance to win. And it becomes more prevalent. And you guys see the signs too. There's signs up at the ballpark. Everyone's holding a sign like, free burgers if we win 12. Like people knew what was going on. The sad thing is, right, it's the 20th. I think we're going to be in Chicago when those burgers are being given away.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Now, you would think somebody would put them. I don't even know how you could do that. I don't think you could. Yeah, you could. There has to be a way to keep burgers warm to get them down in Chicago to make sure that the team all get burgers. There has to be a way to do it. There has to be a way to do it. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be a way to do it. This is the thing. My phone was blowing up last night. So the game is going on. The Brewers are up 6-0. And Rock says something along the lines of, man, can you smell those burgers? Dude, when it got to 6-5 Tim Dillard, my phone was like, if they lose this after he said that, people were so mad. I was like, dude, just relax. It's 6-5. It'll be fine. And obviously it was fine. But Brewers fans were on edge last night after all of that.
Well, I mean, to be on edge when you're so far up in Major League Baseball, so far up in the NL Central,
on edge about burgers, Tim. Let's be clear. Yeah. It was about the burgers.
On edge about burgers, yeah.
Yes.
But to me, it's more than that. Like, everybody loves burgers. That's great. But I think it represents something bigger than just free burgers. It represents a team that they're backing that's having success. That's what it represents. And what better way to represent success than a free burger? Because, I don't know, I'm a big Friesman, so a free burger goes a long way. I wish I could partake in that, even though we're not going to be there.
I've never heard anybody refer to this something as a Friesman. I was like, what the hell is a Friesman? And then you clarified free. Anything free is me. Anything free is me, right? Anything free. Doesn't matter what it is. Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Dim Tillard. I was concerned, I'll be honest. When Woodruff wasn't pitching in the 5th, I'm like, man, I really hope he ain't hurt. I hope that's not what it is. But at the end of the day, they said after the game that, no, they were watching pitches because this was the first time he was coming off of 4 days and having to pitch again, which now looking at it obviously seems very, very smart because you want to make sure he is healthy and ready to go maybe deeper into games once you get to October.
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually brought up a couple weeks ago. Pat Murphy was talking about what it would look like if he got back to normal days rest and if that would be an issue. So, yeah, I mean, the people that are in the know and, pay attention to all those interviews and stuff, we're aware that could have been a shorter outing. But then again, he had first and second. Every inning was a stressful inning for him. Not that he got hit around very hard or whatever, but there was a walk here, there was a dinker there. So I think that even solidified, we're already going to make it short, but the fact that every inning has been tough. I think it made the decision easier for him. And they got some studs out in that bullpen, right? So they came in, they did their job. There was a couple of hiccups, but then the offense was like, is this enough? Let's just score 12.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they came back right away. Contreras had a big 2 RBI base hit. Like that next half inning, they extended back to 3 runs just like that. And you're like, okay, this is going to be the Brewers ball game. What about Joey Ortiz these last couple of weeks? I mean, his home road splits were heavy on the road, like 287 on the road, and then he was awful at home. And then this homestand comes along, and he's been unbelievable on this homestand with his bat.
Yeah, I mean, you knew the bat was going to come. He was having good at-bats. Early on this season, I think he got benched because, he was taking
for
too many pitches. And now all of a sudden, and now he's swinging at everything, which is fine. If you get comfortable swinging, like he got the blessing from the coaching staff, like, hey, we want you to swing more. Maybe the walks are down, maybe the strikeouts are down, but he's putting the ball in play. And I think he's seeing what happens when you're putting the ball in play at that. We saw other guys do it, but he's finally having that success. But even more so than the bat, I knew the bat was coming. He's too good of a hitter. We saw what he did last year. The glove. I mean, go to the first inning. The play that he made for Woodruff, he literally saved a run. And he made 3 Gold Glove plays in yesterday's ball game. 3. The taking runs off the board. I know you can't take those runs and put them in your RBI count, but that's what it's like. Like the analytics, that's what it looks like to have a guy playing that kind of defense, taking runs off the board. That's the equivalent of him hitting a solo homer. We've been seeing great defense from him all year long, but yesterday was something magical. I saw about 3 plays that not too many people in baseball make.
Can we talk about a different play? I agree with Ortiz. He's amazing defensively. But I want to talk about a guy's defense and then what has happened with his offense. Bryce Terang, that play that he made would be ranging to his left. That was hit to right field between first and second. He goes and gets it. Woodruff is on a dead sprint, it looked like, and he throws an absolute perfect throw to him running to first base. That is not an easy play for either one of those two guys.
That is, you work on that in spring training. And when you work on it, maybe you do it several days in a row or once a week or whatever, it never feels comfortable. I mean, I had so many spring trainings and we worked on that all the time. It never gets easy. And the whole time, most of us are like, who makes that play? The pitchers are over there by themselves like, dude, no one makes that play. You right? Because when we're going over the drills, it's usually a coach who's standing out there ready for you to run, and he's trying to throw it at the worst possible time with the worst possible throw. We've continually seen Terang do amazing things on the field. It didn't surprise me at all that he was there in position and waiting to find Woodruff in the flat. I think what surprised me the most is how quickly Woodruff realized that Vaughn was not going to be there and that he needed to be there, and he turned on the jets to get there. And in that moment, I mean, if that goes wrong and he gets collided with, this is a guy that spent so much time on the IL the last 2 years. This guy finally gets healthy, and he's like, forget it. I'm making this play. We're getting this out. And that's what happened. He goes over there because he knows Bryce Terang is going to throw a strike to him. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So there was so many things that happened in that moment. You're right. That was pretty cool. Brewers are playing sensational baseball.
You're the baseball expert. I want you to explain to me where all this power with Bryce Terang has come from in the last couple of weeks. Tell me where this has all come from. Don't tell me it's push-ups. Don't tell me he's doing a couple extra pull-ups. I don't believe you. There has to be something else. Like, what has happened with Bryce Terang to all of a sudden become Bryce Terang power hitter?
I don't think pull-ups are a thing. Maybe they are. I don't know.
They are.
Probably not good. Probably not good for the shoulders. Throwing shoulder. We show up every single day, and this is funny. I was talking with Stephen Watson, one of the hosts of Brewers Live. We were talking about this the other day. Everybody's like shocked by Bryce Terang's home runs, but we are not. We've seen his batting practice. This guy unloads baseballs. It's a smooth swing. He makes excellent connection. He barrels up everything, but at the same time, you're like, well, it's batting practice. I think, honestly, he's gotten to a point where he can have a little bit more fun, and he can go for the long ball. Because remember, he's the guy that, hey, you're going opposite field, great job. Keep going opposite field, get your singles, get your doubles. You're going to play a role. You have to play this role, or the team's not going to win. Well, now he's on the team, and everybody's contributing. Everybody. So now he's like, you know what? I mean, I'm not saying this is true. I haven't talked to him, but he's probably like, I do have some in the tank, and I can kind of show it off. And I think that's what we're seeing as a guy that feels comfortable. And where the game is, where he's allowed to kind of take a few risks, which I don't think he had that. He definitely didn't have that his first year. And you go back to the last couple of years, it's just, he was good, but he was playing the role of, let me just get on base type guy. Dude, BP, I'm not kidding. The home run derby that the Brewers had a couple of weeks ago, he would have been a guy that I probably would have picked, in at least the top 3 of who would be in a home run derby, because his BP is incredible.
That's great stuff. Now off to Cincinnati, where you can have your own home run derby in Cincinnati with the way the ball flies at Great American Ballpark. So there's going to be home runs in this series coming up this weekend. And they got some offense. They got a great manager in Terry Francona. So it should be a fun series starting tomorrow. Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Dim Tillard. Thank you so much for coming on. Safe travels.
All right. Thanks, Sparky. Hey, see everybody at Broken Bat Brewery.
There you go. There he is, Tim Dillard. Giving some love to Broken Bat Brewery. Again, if I drank like all these breweries would be amazing. Like everybody's done like the Miller Toury. What's the other one? What's the one down by the lake? Lakefront Brewery, right? People do that one, right? So it's like, okay. Do you know what? The only tour that I've done is the Rayhorse tour.
What is that?
And I was hammered by the time it was done. Hammered by the time it was done, man. Dude, Rayhorse Distillery is amazing. Like, this was years ago. I'm assuming they do it the same way, but you literally get to sample the gin. You get to sample the whiskey. You get to sample this. You get to sample that. You get to sample that. By the time you're done, you're at the bar like, woohoo, life is good. Let's go. And then you're getting, different drinks, whatever else. That tour is on point. They have a huge outdoor patio and stuff. But again, I'm a whiskey guy. I'm not a beer guy. So for me, it doesn't make as much sense. And you're over at your place, again, beer, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's what you all are as well. It's beer.
And we do tours there as well where you get...
Are you the tour guide?
I'm not one of the tour guides, no. I don't want to be one of the tour guides.
You work in radio. How are you not a tour guide?
Because you got to learn all this different information about brewing the beers. And I just like pouring the beers and drinking the beers. That's what I do well.
If you were paying attention, you just heard why Charlie is a radio guy. Well, you got to learn all this stuff. And I don't really want to do that. And that's how you end up in radio, young people. This is how you end up in radio. By that attitude right there. Coming up next, we're going to talk about guys that were Milwaukee Brewers players at one point and how life's going for them. That's straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Love Taki Fuego chips? Listen up, because you've never had them like this. Wendy's new Taki Fuego meals are here. Sammy has the Taki Fuego chip intensity you love piled up on one of their fan favorite spicy chicken sandwiches with Taki Fuego chips, chili lime sauce, and creamy corn spread. The small Fuego fries get tossed in an intense chili lime seasoning. It's almost like this meal couldn't take any more Taki Fuego chip intensity. That's where the extra 1 ounce bag of Taki Fuego chips on the side comes in. Well, while supplies last, you can grab this Taki Fuego meal at Wendy's, open midnight or later. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Time now to get to your fan weather forecast, brought to you by Otke Heating and Cooling. Right now, fair skies, 82 degrees, feels like 83. Humidity coming down a little bit. That's only 1 degree difference. I feel pretty good about that. Low tonight of 63. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy, Steve Sparky, Fifer, Charlie Hughes on the other side of the glass, producing today's show. Brewers with the day off today. Huh? About it? Day off today. Tomorrow, a 4:30 start for the leadoff show tomorrow with our guy, Tommy Wirtz, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, as the Brewers play like 5:40 or something like that tomorrow in Cincinnati. So 4:30 leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook tomorrow afternoon with Tommy Wirtz. Looking forward to hearing that. He does an amazing job. So it is what it is. Definitely want to check it out. Pat Murphy before the game, lineups 3 times throughout the show. So if you're driving in your car and you're not looking at your cell phone like so many people do and you want to know what the lineups are, whatever else, boom, Tommy's got you coming out of every break with the lineups. Plus, you hear from Andrew Wagner every game, who's inside the clubhouse covering the team. You hear from our guy, Austin Herdania, who, of course, is a sportsbook manager over the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He's had winning picks all year long. He's missed some, but I'm telling you, I think he's won more than he's lost. So he's on every show as well. So you go as well with the Building the Winner segment brought to you by the Ironworkers. That's a great segment because they look down at the minor leagues, what's going on there. So we're going to talk about players that have been on the Brewers that have left and kind of what they've done since they've left a little bit. So one of the guys that left was Josh Hader, right? Josh Hader got up, got traded, and out he went, and he was on his way. So what exactly do we have on Josh Hader other than the fact that he is hurt with what they're calling a shoulder strain? I'm telling you right now, if I was a fan of Josh Hader, I would be very concerned about Josh Hader's health going forward based on everything I've read about that injury. But how has he done to this point?
So Josh Hader, since being traded from the Milwaukee Brewers in the middle of the 2022 season, has been fairly useful for the teams that he's played for. So that second half of the season with San Diego, he was atrocious. He had a 7.31 ERA. Everybody remembers that he just kind of fell off a cliff. Then that next season, he had a bounce-back season with San Diego, had a 1.28 ERA, and finished that season with 33 saves. Last season, he had a 3.8 ERA with 34 saves. And this year so far, it was his best season basically in his career besides his rookie year. He had a 2.05 ERA with a 28 saves up to this point in the season.
So he has come around nicely and has figured things out a little bit. To jog your memory, the Brewers traded Hader to the Padres. They received Taylor Rogers, gone. Dinelson Lamet, I don't think he ever pitched for them in general. Esteury Ruiz, he went in the trade, obviously, for William Contreras. And Robert Gasser also came back in that deal. And Robert Gasser was probably the crown jewel in that deal with Ruiz, those two guys. And there is a chance that Robert Gasser very well may end up in the starting rotation next year. There is a chance that Robert Gasser may end up in this bullpen at some point between now and the end of the season, or maybe even to the rotation with a spot start here or there. Last year, people were loving Robert Gasser prior to the injury, Charlie.
They were. I was loving Robert Gasser prior to that injury. I thought he was awesome. I think when you look at what you can get out of a Robert Gasser and then what ended up happening with Josh Hader after that trade, I think you can have a lot of enthusiasm just because Josh Hader got so much money from Houston. That's the biggest thing, is you were never going to pay a reliever as much as Houston was willing to pay a reliever. And then Houston had to let go of 3 other relief pitchers that were really important to their team because they couldn't afford to pay anybody else on that roster in that bullpen. So yes, Robert Gasser only pitched a little bit and they got injured, and none of those other players really ever touched the field for the Milwaukee Brewers. At the same time, I would say that's an overall win because then you were followed up with a guy like Devin Williams for a few years.
Ruiz got you Contreras, and Gasser could be a pivotal piece in this starting rotation, or maybe even in the bullpen, depending how this plays out going forward for the Brewers. So I'd call that a win. What about Corbin Burns? Corbin Burns, the guy, hurt as well. Tommy John surgery. Don't need to worry about his numbers. But he gets traded to the Baltimore Orioles, who, like the Padres, did not re-sign the guy they traded for. So right off the bat, it's like, well, y'all didn't win a World Series or anything like that with Corbin Burns. So that was a loss regardless of what you gave up. They gave up Joey Ortiz. That looks okay. Regardless of what you think of his bat, defensively, he's been a stud. DL Hall, who's been very good out of the bullpen for the Brewers this year. And competitive balance round A draft pick number 34, which was Blake Burke, first baseman from Tennessee, who, if you go look at his minor league numbers, is putting on a show right now. So Blake Burke, between single A and double A, having a really good season. And I don't know if he'll end up being in the Brewers' plans at first base or not, but it's been a really good draft selection so far in the last year and a couple of games that he had last year. Blake Burke playing really well using that draft pick. That is a win for the Milwaukee Brewers.
A huge win for the Milwaukee Brewers. And yes, Corbin Burnes ended up last season pitching pretty well. He ended the season with a 2.92 ERA with 194 innings pitched, which is a pretty solid workload for a guy like Corbin Burnes. That is the second most in his career. At the same time, like you said, you didn't re-sign him, and half of the year last year, he was not good at all. He was actually kind of really bad for the Baltimore Orioles, and then he picked it up later on. At the same time, I mean, the focal point of that trade for the Milwaukee Brewers was DL Hall, and for a majority of a season last year, Joey Ortiz was just balling out and became the focal point. So the second part of that trade all of a sudden became the best part of that trade, and then DL Hall comes back from injury this year and is phenomenal as well, even though Joey Ortiz has had moments where he struggled, but he also hasn't struggled the whole season. This is by far a huge win for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Then there was the Devin Williams trade that happened last year, or this offseason, and you get back Nestor Cortes, who had 2 starts and was done, and then you were able to move on from Nestor Cortes. For Lockridge, we'll see what that looks like. He's playing better than I thought he would when they made that deal. And you also get Caleb Durbin and cash. Caleb Durbin, I thought, would probably be a guy at AAA majority of the year, came up and played if he had to play, but they weren't going to probably be a central piece. Certainly was not going to play third base all year. That was insanity, I believe is what I said prior to the season. And here we are. He's lost his starting position as far as having a platoon with a guy that's horrible in Anthony Siegler. I don't know how much longer you're going to let this continue to plan, but either way. So
Tyler Black's up at the major league level.
Shut up. So you still have, I think, a very good piece in Caleb Durbin that you can work with. Even if he doesn't start, he could very well be on this roster for the next 3, 4, 5 years as a major utility infielder for them kind of going forward. Devin Williams, what has his numbers look like for the New York Yankees this year? Remember, Devin Williams, last year of his deal, about to hit free agency for the very first time in his career this winter.
I want to point out last season in 22 appearances for Devin Williams, he totaled up a 1.4 WAR in those 22 appearances, had 14 saves, and had a 1-0 record. So never really faltered until the playoffs
and the home run
and then the home run game, and then he was broken. Since then, since being traded to the New York Yankees, in 50 appearances with them, he has a negative .6 WAR, a 3-5 record, and only
lost the closer job.
Lost the closer job, and only had 17 saves in that time that he did have the closer job. Only 3 more than last season, in a season where he's had double the appearances.
And the manager, Aaron Boone's like, I got to find softer landing spots for him. Like, I can't put him in situations where we have to have him, Charlie.
Which is insane. This is a guy that you want to have in that position. You traded away Nestor Cortes, who had been one of your better pitchers when he was healthy for the Yankees, and then Caleb Durbin, who was an exciting young prospect. Maybe not the best overall prospect, but the Brewers found a way to use him and keep him at least semi-useful for the half of the season to this point. I mean, this is just kind of insane. You should never have to say that about the biggest trade piece of the offseason.
No, and the crazy part about it is, and I put this on Twitter, I think, the other day, I feel bad for him. Like, NFL guys don't have to do this. NBA guys don't have to do this. Hockey, I'm not sure how long it lasts in hockey. A lot of times now, even in hockey, if you're not in right away, you eventually get there quickly. But you're in the minors for like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. And then you got to come up at the major league level. And then you get more years at a crap salary. Then you get to arbitration. Maybe you make a little pop of money there in arbitration. But then when you make your real money is, boom, that first free agent contract where you hit the home run and take off to the races with a huge money deal, like a Josh Hader, like a Corbin Burnes, right? That's where you hit that money. He ain't going to hit anything. Like, if I said to you right now, after this year's done, Devin Williams calls up Matt Arnold and says, hey, man, I'm going to come back. 1-year deal. I just want a 1-year deal. I just need y'all to fix me. 1-year deal. I'll come back, help out the best I can with the back end of that bullpen. Yeah, I don't even have to be the closer. I'll set up McGill. I don't care. But 1-year deal, bring me back. Doesn't have to be a big deal. I just need y'all to fix me so I can go out and get some money the following year. 2 questions. 1, if you're Matt Arnold, do you go, deal? 2, if you're any other MLB team and he goes out and has a great year for the Milwaukee Brewers, are you buying Devin Williams again?
No, yes, no, yes. It's kind of on and off with a guy like Devin Williams. For the first question, yes. If I'm the Milwaukee Brewers and he comes and says, I want to have a 1-year discounted price just to prove that I can do this still and go sign with another team, yeah, the Brewers for sure go ahead and do that. Why not? There's no reason not to, especially if he's going to sign for $7 million, $6 million. Sure, go ahead. There's nowhere else you're spending that money, and you're going to have a ton of it moving forward here like you always do. With whether or not he goes to another team and can fix himself, that really depends on the franchise he goes to. There's a lot of organizations that have found ways to develop pitchers really well.
Sure.
Cleveland has done a really good job at it. Atlanta has done a really good job at it. I think you could go to one of those organizations and try to figure it out there, but at the same time, they don't know you as well. That's a different environment. Does that change anything for a guy like Devin Williams if you're not playing in the same kind of stadium that you're comfortable with? Because right now,
it's in a different league.
Right now, we're seeing what that looks like when he's not comfortable in these situations, and it's really messing him up.
I feel bad for him. I do, man. Like, I feel bad how this whole thing turned out for Devin Williams. But there are positive stories too, right? Eric Lauer is unbelievable right now for the Blue Jays. I got that dude in fantasy. That dude is like sub-3 ERA or right around a 3 ERA right now for the Blue Jays. He may get kicked out of this rotation because of what they did at the trade deadline, but he's been really good. Hauser has been really good this year as well for the White Sox. He's pitched really well. I think Savali has pitched better as of late for the White Sox too. I mean, there are positive success stories of guys that were okay here that have went on to be pretty good in other situations. And then there's Willy Adames, who, again, I think would have stayed had it been close money-wise, which I don't think it was. So Willy Adames says, cool, thank you, love you always, Milwaukee, I'm out. He goes. Now, can you call up his game log, please, Charlie Usen? Can you call up, what did Willy Adames hit in the month of July? In the month of July, what were the numbers for Willy Adames in the month of July? Because April, he was brutal. May, he wasn't very good. But once we get to June and July and so forth, and we get to looking at the game logs for Willy Adames at that point, then I think you start to see, okay, Willy Adames is starting to figure it out. Willy Adames is starting to go in July specifically. June, I don't remember off the top of my head. What were the game logs looking like in June and July?
So just in July, he has 89 at-bats in 24 games played. He had 7 home runs, 21 RBIs, 11 walks to 21 strikeouts, so a better average than he was had all season. Batting .337 with a .422 on base, .674 slugging, and a 1.096 OPS.
Excellent. Willy. Now read August.
August so far in 49 at-bats in 12 games. He has 2 home runs and only 5 total hits with a .102 batting average, a 170 on base, and a 224 slugging. He has 18 strikeouts to 4 walks.
And it fell all apart again. He had 1 month. He literally had like 1 month. I was so happy. I was like, all right, here we go, Willie. We got it now. And then August came, and it was like, whoop. There went all the talent. Gone. And Willy Adames back into the crapper again with his game. But the Giants team in general, they're back into the crapper. And Melvin, the other day, Bob Melvin was like, I think we've reached the point, unfortunately, where guys are going to have to start watching, and I got to start trying other guys. Well, I would hope so. It's the middle of August, dude. The playoffs start in a month and a half. What took you so long to get to this point? And, he's talking about guys like Willy Adames. Like, I know we're paying him a lot of money. I've given him every opportunity, but he's horrible. Like, I got to play somebody else there at least 2-3 days a week to try and see if somebody else is back and get going to put in that lineup. You get too many guys all off at the same time. You have to try something if the playoffs are somewhat of a goal, or trying to save your job at the end of the year as a goal, or something along those lines. I mean, Devin Williams and Willy Adames this year, it has not been good. It has not been good for either one of them. And, I mean, y'all can have your own opinion on this. I don't root for dudes to go be horrible in their next gigs once they leave, the Brewers. I don't know if I've ever done that for a former Brewers player. Like, okay, I lied. Gary Sheffield. But outside of Sheffield, the rest of them, I don't think I've ever rooted for anybody. I've always wanted guys. When Greg Vaughn got moved, I wanted Greg Vaughn to have, be successful. Jeremy Burnett, wanted him to be successful. Like all these dudes, I wanted to be successful. The only other player that I rooted against because I was not informed and was ignorant as a fan was Molitor. I booed Molitor when he came back to County Stadium because I didn't have all the facts, nor did anybody else at that point. Because I was mad that he left the Brewers, but to go to the Blue Jays. But outside of that, really, I want people to have success if they go somewhere else, unless it's the Cubs, like the trader. Then I hope you lose every freaking game. But player-wise, I got no ill will.
Jesse Winker?
Yeah, screw that dude. You're right about that. Screw that dude.
I was just trying to think more recent, guys.
But if we're being honest, I didn't have ill will towards him until we got into that series.
And until he started saying things?
That's when the ill will started. Like, when he left, I was like, whatever, see you later, whatever. It didn't work out, right? He wasn't ready to come back. He tried to force coming back earlier than he should have and played a year he shouldn't have, and then he comes back the year after. He even said it. Like, at the beginning of last year, he even said, like, I went to Milwaukee, did my thing, but I wasn't ready. Like, now I'm physically ready, and I was not physically ready for what I went through last year. Okay, fine. You admitted that you weren't there and probably shouldn't have been out there. And then you got physically ready, and you did it. Have you heard anything about Jesse Winker this year?
No, not really.
That's too bad. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Looking forward to seeing what top 3 picks he has for us for Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Don't forget Potawatomi Sportsbook. Hey, they got shuttles to and from Brewers home games. Okay? To and from Brewers home games. They start 1 hour before the game. It ends 1 hour after the game. Now, I know they're on the road coming up this weekend in Cincinnati, but still something to keep in mind going forward. Their parking garage is free. So you can park in their parking garage for free and take their sports shuttle. Now, to get on the sports shuttle, same day bet or a purchase in the sports book gets you on to their shuttle. Just that simple. And then you're not waiting in line for parking or anything else like that. Brings you back. I always recommend, considering how good this team is, throw a couple shekels down on the crew to win the game that day. And then if they win, you come back, cash your ticket, essentially get your money back for the bet and a little something that maybe paid for your popcorn at the game or whatever. And you come out ahead of time before it's all said and done. Take the shuttles to and from Brewers games, courtesy of the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino and the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Do it today. More information, Potawatomi.com/sportsbook, Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Charlie, Sounds of the Day coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky, Fifer here, Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. On a Thursday afternoon, I hope you are well, enjoying a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Tomorrow's show is going to be fun. Now, is it going to top Robin Yount from earlier in the show, Brewers Hall of Famer? He joined us an hour ago. No, it's not going to top Robin Yount. If you missed that, go back. You can watch that hour, the 2 o'clock hour, right there on YouTube. You can stream us on Odyssey, the iHeart app, TuneIn app, wherever you download your favorite podcast at. We're all right there. Go back. You can listen to the Robin Yount interview there. Also, we're going to play it back at 4:42. So if you missed it and you want to hear it played back here on the radio, we'll play it back for you at 4:40. But tomorrow's show, 2:40, Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press-Gazette will tell us all about today's scrimmage against the Indianapolis Colts, which I think might still be going on in Indianapolis. I haven't looked lately on social media, but it was going on during our show. That's why he couldn't join us today. So Ryan Wood tomorrow at 2:40. Drew Wagner, we go inside the clubhouse with him, Forbes Sports Brewers writer. He joins us at 3:20, courtesy of Focus Baseball. And then at 4 o'clock, Tyler Dunn will join us from GoLongTD.com because he did a mailbag, and some of what happened in that mailbag got to talking about the Packers, Jordan Love, so forth. So we'll have Tyler Dunn on tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So a fun show ahead on a Friday here on The Fan tomorrow. With that being said, this is always fun.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on The Fan.
All right, Charlie, top 3 sound clips. Where are we going first?
All right, first up, we're going to head over to Fair Territory, a podcast hosted by MLB writer Ken Rosenthal on the FanDuel Sports Network, sister podcast of Foul Territory with AJ Pierzynski, Eric Kratz, all those guys. This is Ken Rosenthal discussing the Brewers' success and what it means in the grand scheme of the MLB.
And there's one more point I want to make on the Brewers. We talk about small market teams, how they can't win, they can't sustain success. Brewers make the playoffs this year, which they are bound to do. It will be their 7th playoff appearance in 8 years. And you'll say, oh, Ken, but they haven't won a World Series. That is not the measure. The measure is getting to the playoffs and then hopefully, in any case, but big market, small market, being lucky enough to put it together, healthy enough to sustain 3 or 4 rounds. That's how this sport works. And they are doing it at a higher level than any other club.
Is there more?
Nope, that's it. That's all I needed.
I will say I'm very disappointed. Very, very disappointed. Because he sounds like a hypocrite. I love Ken Rosenthal. But he kind of sounds like a hypocrite. Dude, you're the one begging Mark Antonaccio to go for it. The goal has to be to get to the World Series and win a World Series. You got to push chips in and go for it. Dude, you've been that dude for this entire time. You were that dude this year. Ken Rosenthal and I were arm in arm, both begging Mark to do something. He didn't really. Shelby Miller for nothing. That was about the extent of it. That's all. Now you want to revision history after the fact, after they got super red hot, and now they're dominating, and I'm going to say this, dominating Major League Baseball at this point. Now, again, like the 87 team we had Robin Yount on earlier, they won 13 in a row in April. They lost 12 in a row in May. So this is not to say they may not go on some big losing slide in September. Who knows? I have no idea how this is going to play out. They may be this dominant all the way through winning a World Series the rest of the year. The trade may never slow down. Don't know what's going to happen. But to come back now and try and sell me that, well, it's just about making the playoffs. The hell with you. No. It's not. For a fan base, a majority of us who weren't either old enough to remember 82 or weren't alive to go to watch anything in 82, what a damn World Series. And for those that are old enough to have watched the 82 team, to have been at the parade for the 82 team, to have went out to a bar and drank with Gorman Thomas that season or any of the other guys on that team and partied with those guys for years, they won a World Series too before they die. Oh, it's all about making the playoffs. You sound like an owner. Yes, you have to make the playoffs in order to go and win a World Series. That is correct. But to tell me, well, going to the playoffs is good enough. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. We can talk about it being the golden era of Brewers baseball, as Bart Winkler likes to say, because of all the postseason runs that this team has made, which is amazing. And we've had lots of summer fun and entertainment. This summer has been awesome, right? So many highlights, so many great moments. It's amazing how much fun we've all had watching this Brewers team. But at the end of the day, when this is done, and if this team is bounced in the playoffs, at some point, what is going to be the reaction? The reaction is going to be, that was fun, but same old Brewers. That's what's going to be said. Same old Brewers. Great regular season and fall apart in the playoffs and can't win. Same old Brewers. That's what's going to be said. You can call it a spoiled fan base, even though I don't know how you can call it spoiled considering they've never been to a World Series. You talk about that team down in Chicago, they were last there in 2016. They've been there closer than you have. 82 for you. The Marlins were an expansion team how many years ago? They got 2 rings. 2 rings. You haven't even made it back since 82. So this whole thing from Rosen, I'd be happy to make the playoffs. Man, stop. Like, when you've been at this level for as long as the Brewers have been, I'm sorry. At some point, you got to get frustrated. As the top of the food chain, you would think. It doesn't appear that's been the case, but you would think at some point as an owner, you're like, dude, I'm done with this. I want a damn ring. It would be one thing if this was Bucks ownership. They get the ring, they put their hands back and they're like, we did what we said we were going to do. We're good. Now let's try and make some money year to year going forward. Okay, I guess I kind of get it. You did your job. That's not what's happened in Milwaukee. All right, sorry for ranting about Rosenthal, but that's you're begging Attanasio to go forward and try to win a World Series, and then fast forward a few weeks, and you're like, oh, but they've been so good getting to the playoffs. Come on, man, those two don't mesh up. You got to pick which way you're going. All right, Charlie.
All right, next up here, we're going to head over to MLB Network and MLB Now on MLB Network, where analyst Russ Dorsey was discussing the Brewers roster management.
Hold on.
What's that?
I'm glad you're doing this. I am. Because I'll tell you something. I saw the tweet. I don't follow that dude. I saw the tweet come up. And somebody retweeted it. Yahoo Sports. And it's a whole big article on the Brewers. Do you know what I did when I saw it?
What's that?
I didn't read anything. I just saw that he wrote it, and I laughed out loud because this dude is Mr. Chicago, right? Yep. I mean, we talk about Danny Parkins and that nutso making his prediction of Council will always win more games than the Brewers, and he'll always have a better record. That malarkey that you had there, this dude's Mr. Chicago, too. He's on the radio in Chicago. He does TV in Chicago. He writes all this. Nothing could have probably perturbed him more than having to write a damn piece on the Brewers that the team he covers can't get in front of. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Go ahead.
For people's perspective, how well the Brewers are playing, since June 1st, they have a .733 winning percentage. By comparison, the 0-1 Seattle Mariners that have the wins record played at a .716 clip. Wow. So they are playing ridiculous baseball, and they're the embodiment of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. Because you look at their lineup, it's like, okay, Sal Frelick, Christian Yelich, I know who that is. Isaac Collins, I've never heard of this.
Is excellent.
Contreras. Yeah. But you could make the argument if you can count William Contreras as being a superstar at the catcher position. Yes. Yeah. They really don't have a top 5, top 6 player in the space. They don't have that superstar caliber.
They have real guys.
They don't have a Mookie Betts, a Bryce Harper, a guy at that level. But they use their 26-man roster as well as any team in Major League Baseball. And something that Theo Epstein used to talk about when I got on the Cubs beat in Chicago is positional redundancy. And you look at how they use the roster, they know that guys are going to get hurt, But you always see guys like Blake Perkins. If Churio goes down, you can plug Blake Perkins in. He's been playing as well as anybody in baseball over the last few weeks. You can bring in a guy like Andrew Vaughn, who has the 6th best OPS in baseball since he arrived. They're playing good.
I think can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
They were the leaders in this game in having a pitching lab. And I don't believe that Vaughn got there and they told him to relax and he's fine. I think they labbed him up. They had to have labbed him up.
Yeah, they're great at player development in that regard, where it's like, hey, you're not going to be a 550 at-bat guy anymore. We're going to find you the matchups, get you 350 to 400, and now you're going to turn into this guy that is extremely productive.
Extremely productive. Yeah, I saw that video clip of Dorsey. It made me feel good. I mean, that's another Chicago guy just having a, yeah, fine. All right, they're good. All right, fine. Yeah, you're pretty good. I can't. He does national stuff, so he's stuck. No doubt. But he is Mr. Chicago down there in Chicago. And I'm sure I saw it. I read it, but before I read it, I laughed for a couple of seconds. And then I was like, all right, I'll read it now after I enjoyed watching it. I used to follow him on Twitter. I unfollowed him a long time ago, but yeah,
Maybe you have to now.
No, I'm definitely not following him. Okay, what's next?
And last up here, we're going to head over to NIU, where head coach Thomas Hammock of the football team,
former Badger coach,
was discussing the transfer portal and his feelings on it nowadays.
To be honest with you, I love the challenge. You know, it don't bother me one bit, because you know what? In life, you're going to make decisions, right? Sometimes it's going to work in your favor and sometimes it's not. I told our team the other day, you know, we lost all these guys. Let's see who plays. So it's all good when people put it on Twitter, hey, all glory to God, I'm going on the transfer portal. Let's see if they play. How many of those guys going to play or travel or get snaps? You know, I was going to tweet something the other day, a picture of me, and say, you know what? I enjoyed my college experience. I didn't get one dime, but the lessons I learned was more valuable than any money you can ever pay me. And I appreciate that, because that is long term. People are losing the fact that this is short term. I coached in the National Football League for 5 years. 5 years, right? Don't lose focus of what the long term. Get your degree, learn valuable lessons that's going to help you in the long term of your life. That's the whole purpose. This is a transition from being a kid to a grown-up. And I hope people don't lose focus of that. Everybody's talking about everything else besides what is the most important thing for going to college. Because if you're going to college to go get a couple dollars, you might as well go get a job. This is too hard to go get a couple dollars. Learn the lessons that you need to learn to be successful in life for the next 40 to 50 years of your life. I would do it again for free, because of the things I learned. That's why I'm standing here today, because of what I learned in college, not because of how much somebody gave me. That's what I would tell people. And parents, they need to learn that lesson too. Stop trying to live through your kids. Go teach your kids what are the things they need to learn to be successful. That's what I'm telling my kids. I don't care about no NIL, no revenue share. I can care less. You need to learn things in college to get you prepared for life, to be a father, a husband, to work, everything else. Those are the most important things. That's what people are missing, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
I love that dude. I don't know him any more than you know him, but I love that dude. Like, there are so many times over the last several years in Northern Illinois where he's had a press conference that we've played in the year and a half that we weren't on the air, that I listened to on social media or whatever. And you're just like, man, he gets it. Like, he is on point pretty much every time with what he says. And Charlie was on that side of the glass. If you're watching on YouTube, the fan Milwaukee on YouTube, got shorts, videos, live streaming of all the local shows. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. But Charlie's on the other side. He's kind of like nodding his head in affirmation of what was being said. I was kind of doing the same thing listening to him. And I would assume if you were driving your car, listening on your smart speaker, or streaming us on the Odyssey app, or whatever the case was, if you're a parent, you were probably doing that. If you were somebody that went to college, right, you were probably doing that. Those of you that are younger than those two categories that I just said probably don't get it. You will. hopefully it's not too late when you figure it out. Because I'm sure Charlie at 18 wasn't thinking the way Charlie thinks now that he's done with college.
No, definitely not. I went into college hoping that for some reason I could be the best player in Elmhurst University history. I wasn't really worried about the lessons I would learn, that maybe if I was the greatest player in Elmhurst University history, I could get a tryout of some of these NFL teams. That's what all the other schools that I was looking at were telling me could happen. That's part of their presentation, was that these guys are at NFL training camps right now, and you could be just like them. It could be all of that. But really, that's not what the focus ended up being through my time playing football at Elmhurst University. We were not a very good team. I got hurt a lot. It was not the most fun experience from just the football aspect of things, but from the family that I met during that, the resiliency that I learned from being on my own in a place where I had no other friends. My family was an hour and a half away. All these other things. I met my girlfriend at school, and I learned to, again, be a good boyfriend, like Thomas Hammock was talking about, through the lessons I learned from my coaches and my teammates on the football team. There's so much more to going and playing college athletics than people give credit to nowadays. And honestly, a lot of it is people not talking about that side of things. We talk about NIL. We talk about all this different changes happening with the rules and the media and how they're looking at that college athletics, when in reality, it should be about the student athletes. It should be about what they're learning and not about the money that's funneling into it.
Yeah, and see that, listen, I got a kid going to college we've talked about, right? And his famous thing with me is he's 18 and he's a grown man. And my famous thing back to him is, when you're done with college and you've got a full-time job and you're living on your own and you've got your bills to pay and your student loan to pay and you're trying to figure out how to make that all work, then you're a grown man. Then we can have the conversation about that. Until then, you're a kid still. And yes, you're going to grow up in the next 4 years a little bit, but that doesn't mean you stop growing. Just because you graduate college doesn't mean you got life figured out, because you still aren't going to have life figured out at that point. It ain't going to be the 3, 4, 5 years later that you're going to be like, hot damn, this is hard. Like, I didn't realize it was like this. And that's before you have kids, before you get married, before anything else even happens. My guy Charlie over here, he's working 2 jobs. My guy Tommy, he's working 2 jobs. My guy Jack Benbrook, he's working multiple jobs. 80 jobs. He's got all kinds of jobs. Right? That's when you figure out what it takes to be grown. That's when you figure out what it takes to survive. That's when life becomes real. And that is what so many kids that are going into college don't get, don't understand. Sometimes, by the time they realize it, it's too late. They've done screwed everything up by that point. Right?
Some of these dudes, yeah, you may make $5 million over your college career. Just wait till you see how quickly $5 million goes away.
Well, that story's out there all the time. How they run out of money and they're broke. Right? It's all over the place. All right, coming up next, Green and Gold Update. We'll talk about the scrimmage between the Packers and the Colts coming up straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.